So Turnabout Serenade is actually a very interesting one. I can't find anything positive about it online, and I've even gotten a few comments that specifically mention this case and its writing. This one's actually really important to me, not because I think it's good. I actually think it's perhaps the worst case in Ace Attorney up to the point and the order they're released in, but I think there's something of tremendous value underneath, and I think that looking closely at it is important if you're an Ace Attorney fan. And my channel seems to have attracted some Ace Attorney fans since my last video, so my plea is as follows. If you are a fan of these games and hated this case, you are not alone. But stay with me this video, and let's look at this case closely, and maybe learn something about how we consume media. I'm so happy with the feedback the channel's been getting, so of course if you liked the video, please give it a like and subscribe. This is Apollo Justice and Turnabout Serenade, How to Write a Sequel. So the trial opens up with a concert. Every trial has to have some theme, TV samurai or a murder in a cafe or during a poker game, and on paper alone, a concert is sincerely one of the most engaging and dynamic set pieces for a murder. And it's not just any concert, of course. It locks nicely with the cast we already know, rock star Clavier Gavin. So I'm trying to point out all of the pros because, as I mentioned, this case has some trouble finding its feet, but interacting with your rival prosecutor out of court is excellent, and the idea of a group of police musicians is pretty fun and jives well with Ace Attorney's tone. Man, the DS works really hard to make this look flashy and cool, and you gotta give them credit for trying, and the 3D models are really working their little asses off trying to make this look nice. So you talk to Trucy a little. Obviously she's the one who wanted to come to this, and again, I'm saying as positive as I can, because Apollo and Trucy's interaction is no question one of the best parts of this game. We meet Lamira, a featured act, Romain Latouche, her bodyguard, and Maki Tobaye, Lamira's partner, and also blind. So we listen to them sing, and the last time that the sequence will be fun, because holy fuck, you listen to it a lot. So much. But again, staying positive, this is fun. It's theatric and fun. A huge gripe though is I really dislike English covers of Japanese songs because the syllables are metered out and chosen so strangely. They have this like chirping sound imitated in her singing, and it's not great. So the band returns upstairs to play one last leg when Apollo, Trucy, and Detective Emma Skye hear gunshots and go to find Latouche dying from a gunshot wound. He names the siren as a witness to the crime, which only Apollo hears, and passes away. So again, positives. This is a really excellent start to the case. The set piece is great. There are some really good clues like bullets in the wall, a brooch on the floor, only one exit the killer could have taken, and we're in the middle of the action. We do some investigating, and really my favorite minigame in this entire game, where we play with a sound mixer to see which band member missed their cue. As a side note, we know Gavin and this guy Darian from the 5-person band, and one thing I'd really love to have seen from this case is at least one more band member. So you find out Darian missed their cue in the finale, and somehow the body has gone missing. We rush up to the stage to find Maki Tobaye and the deceased on the raised stage with a guitar on his corpse. So all of this is okay so far because there aren't any answers necessary yet. In principle, it's okay, even great for such a strange case with so many unanswered questions. But there's one last mystery. The lyrics of this song match the crime perfectly. Stole the keys to my heart, as Gavin had his keys stolen. Through the air as I fly, referencing Lamira's performance. Burning my heart, as Gavin's guitar catches fire. A bullet of love, taking my life away, and Guitar in the Sky reference the crime and the movement of the body. But, at the moment, the accused who we're defending is Maki Tobaye. So, here we are. This is our first test in the trial, and it's the trial's first chance to explain itself. This, it seems to me, is where the trial really stumbles. It's easy to make a mystery, but it's Ace Attorney's signature masterful pacing and puzzle solving, and the aha moment of when every piece of the mystery, every oddity clicks together and the full picture becomes clear. It's this expectation in Ace Attorney cases that lets Turnabout Serenade down, because the mysteries don't click together perfectly. Some of the surprises are a little bit flat, and the most important part, the payoff, is somewhat unsatisfying. Detective Emma Skye takes the stand and presents the prosecution's evidence against the accused. How did the killer escape the crime scene? The gunshots went off, and immediately Apollo, Trucy, and Emma entered the crime scene. There was only one exit. up the ladder and through the vent, a vent large enough only for a child. Worse still, Tobae's prints were on the vent. Our first big objection is to call a witness to the stand because we're the only ones who know that Lamira, the siren of the ballad, was named by Latouche as a witness to the crime. And so she takes the stand. The first big surprise about Lamira we learned during the investigations is that she actually speaks English. This isn't a big deal, but it's a piece of something which is important. We also learned from Gavin that she wasn't called because she suffers from amnesia. Okay, interesting. So we find a few contradictions. Turns out she did enter the room. The brooch is hers. When she mentions Latouche, if we perceive, which, holy shit, this mechanic is unfun, she swallows. She claims to have seen gunshot marks in the wall, but she couldn't have as the door opens. So some fairly good puzzle so far, but nothing is really snapping into focus. Finally, she mentions seeing the crime through a small window, but there are problems with her testimony and she's dismissed. So we return to testimony from Emma Skye. It seems the reason the shooter missed the first shot was because they were blind, but big objection, what if the shooter didn't miss because they were blind, but too small to fire the powerful weapon? Aha! Everyone in the court seems to realize this does not help Maki, except Apollo, and I quite like this. It's silly and it hammers home Apollo's deductive skills and experience. But finally, we crack up on something important. The killer wiped away the blood Latouche wrote with their dying moments, which means clearly they could see. So let's do a blood test and see what was written in blood. We get to do a mini game, which, sheesh, they were desperate for games to do with the touchscreen because this one is just clicking once. It's an Interpol agent number, which Darian rushes to check. The evidence seems to strongly point away from Maki until Claudia drops in and reveals he's not actually blind. Claudia was careful not to mention that he was. So if he's not blind, we realize something crucial about his relationship with our siren. She's not guiding him around. He's guiding her. Lamira is blind. So we're given yet another reveal about Lamira. She speaks English, has memory loss, and is blind. That's why this revelation falls flat. It's interesting and surprising, but it isn't foreshadowed, and we already have whiplash from the new revelations about her English and amnesia. This is one of the big reveals, and for me, it misses somewhat. So Darian rushes back and tells the court that the agent registered under the number was Latouche. As the day seems to be wrapping up, Lamira, who mentioned never forgetting a voice, barges back in and emphatically fingers Darian as the killer she heard. And so, with one last clue and not much wrapped up, trial day 1 ends. And this is really a good place for us to end. This trial is important to me, specifically because it can't seem to find its footing. It has a perfect setting, sets up some really likable and well-designed and animated characters, and a really intriguing mystery, so when it doesn't deliver like we expect it to, it lets us down tremendously. But the only reason it does let us down is because our expectations are so high. Because we're fans of the series. A chance to see a case like this, which pays off imperfectly, sheds every single other case before and since in a new light. The balance of mystery and payoff is so remarkably well executed in some 16 beautiful cases prior that we notice when it misses somewhat what we expect. So I challenge you to celebrate a series that has hit the mark so many times for Bridge to the Turnabout and for Turnabout Serenade. Because even though this is my least favorite case in the series, man, I still had so much fun playing it. Thank you all so much for watching.